The Angry Marks Podcast Network is brought to you by WrestleWork, a social network to connect, create, and share everything about pro wrestling. Check it out today at WrestleWork.com.
You're listening to the SmackDown RunDown on the Angry Marks Podcast Network.
Welcome to the SmackDown Rundown. For tonight, I am your host, Jordan Garber. Nikolai is unable to be here for this episode, but our co-host for tonight is Rob the Mini. How are you tonight, Rob?
I'm doing wonderful, sir. I'm glad to be here. Looking forward to taking over for a few weeks, helping Nikolai out while he takes a break. Just for a little bit about me, if you've ever heard the phrase, everybody has an opinion, there are many of them, for every one of them there's an asshole. Well, I am that asshole.
Good to know. In some ways, I guess, everyone can be an asshole at times. But let's get right to it. We have a big show to discuss tonight, lots of stuff to talk about. We are 3 weeks away from WrestleMania, and leading up to WrestleMania, what do you think about this whole road to WrestleMania thing? How do you think it's going so far?
Depends on how you interpret it. Basically, they kind of started way down at the Royal Rumble. People basically rejected Roman Reigns pretty much flatly, and pretty much every week from there, they've been trying to rehab Roman Reigns. I think they've done a okay job, but live crowds still haven't quite taken to him like I think that they expected yet. And pretty much all they've accomplished is kill some of Bryan Daniels' overness. You know, they've kind of brought him back down almost to a lower level in their mission to try to push Reigns, and they've done the same thing with Cena actually too. If they keep doing that, he's old, and it seems to be like they really want to kind of leave Reigns as the only option. And so far, that scheme, they kind of shifted their plans a little bit and kind of did a better job of making fans feel like he earned a spot, but I still don't feel like the fans have completely accepted him yet. So, considering that's the main event, I think that they haven't done the best job in the world building up, but they're doing a really excellent job of building the Sting matchup, which is kind of like, let's be honest, the real main event. Basically most of tonight's SmackDown was dedicated to building up the ladder match.
Most definitely, and this ladder match is normally when you see an Intercontinental Championship match, it's not really as advertised as much as this match had. And as we open up the show, Dolph Ziggler announces himself in that match at WrestleMania. He also brings up how Daniel Bryan should be in that match. As that happens, Harper attacks Ziggler, and then Barrett comes out, and then Ambrose comes out, and then obviously, as that brawl ensues, we have R-Truth, who steals the title yet again. What did you think of this opening segment?
It feels kind of slapsticky to me. And if you're building, if the whole mission of this match is basically to build all these people who were suddenly interested in the IC belt, doing it this way with the R-Truth thing kind of detracts a little bit from their mission statement, which is to try to sell that the Intercontinental belt is all of a sudden really important again. Because I feel like the R-Truth thing is so comedy heavy, kind of like a Scooby-Doo, like 80s, Saturday morning cartoon kind of humor where he sneaks up to the ring, crawls into the ring, takes the belt, crawls underneath the ring, comes out the other side, and walks away with it. And everybody's just kind of confused because he, if he's given a moment, he'll hand the belt to somebody else, but then he'll come back and take it. It's kind of weird because everybody else is kind of trying to be kind of somewhat like staking their claims to the belt, where he seems like he's just kind of doing it for shits and giggles, and I just don't. That part of it is confusing.
I know what you mean, especially when you look like probably not even a month ago, or maybe a month or two ago, R-Truth was jobbing against Bray Wyatt, and now all of a sudden he's in the title picture. So it's kind of like a little bit of a fast push to R-Truth, but I personally like seeing him in the match. I think it's good to see. It's kind of hard to predict the winner because it can go either way with anybody. So most definitely, it should be a great match to see at WrestleMania.
Well, I mean, it's basically like the Money in the Bank match, basically. And as soon as they reintroduced the What's Up thing, like I kind of had a feeling like they all of a sudden decided they were going to do something with R-Truth again. But like you said, I didn't see an IC run level push coming for him. I felt like he was going to be baby-faced again and kind of fed to, heels on the roster that they felt like needed wins.
For sure. And most definitely, I totally agree with what you're saying as well. Like, seems like it's that Money in the Bank concept. But that adds more entertainment and more value. And obviously, they have to deliver since it's WrestleMania. In the opening match, Tyson Kidd, who's a good friend of mine, and Cesaro defeated Los Matadores. What did you think of the opener here tonight?
It was pretty quick. The Matadors, they really didn't get a whole lot of offense here. I felt like this match did its job in establishing Kidd and Cesaro as pretty unbeatable team. The little guy got involved a little bit, but then Natty kind of equalized him, going back a little bit, leaning more towards Natty being a heel again versus Raw, where it seemed like they painted her as a babyface again. This is another thing where the picture isn't clear on which way they want the fans to go, because I feel like, with 3 weeks out, that's still a lot of TV. Some of the mid-card stuff, they kind of wait until the week before to really solidify. So I'm not sure if that's why they're not really clear on whether Natty is in on this or not, and they're saving it till right before Mania, or if they're just not sure how they feel about her in the group.
Yeah, personally, you look at this tag team of Kidd and Cesaro, and I like this whole fact thing. I love this whole gimmick. And the thing is that both of these guys can wrestle obviously they're one of the best technical wrestlers out there. And it's good to combine that in a team, especially with Natty as manager, the great wrestler that she is as well. It adds a really good dynamic, I think it's perfect. This tag team's perfect, and hopefully they have those titles for a long time. I like the concept of
the one problem they do have is their finish can vary greatly depending on who the person is getting the big swing, because sometimes Tyson Kidd makes it look really good when he gives the drop kick, and sometimes it looks really bad. Sometimes they, like tonight on SmackDown, the camera angle they shot it from, it looked really, really sick. But I've seen it a couple times in the past where it didn't look so good. But I still think it's a really good finish. I just think they have to get better at hitting it exactly right.
Oh, exactly. Totally agree with what you're saying as well. And it's only the future is going to say what is in store for this tag team as well. As for Los Matadores, not much is going on with them. Are they going to even be at WrestleMania? That's the question. Are they going to be? I mean,
they'll probably be in the Battle Royal. I'm assuming anybody who has a job as of Mania will probably, if they don't have anything set up, they'll be in the Battle Royal.
Which is good. So it always gives the stars a chance.
So, like I said, it was a pretty short match, but it did what it's supposed to do, is try to build credibility with this pretty relatively young team. They're trying to build them into, what the Usos kind of became, which is kind of like an untouchable, kind of clearly head above shoulders of the rest of the tag division. And, they kind of have to build that credibility because Cesaro was depushed pretty severely, and Tyson Kidd kind of disappeared for a long, long time, some due to injury, some due to them not having too much use for him. So they have to kind of slowly, piece by piece, every time they're on TV, kind of restore some of their credibility. But what the next segment was kind of Kane and Show. I'm kind of interested in what your take was here on this. Are they trying to set up dissension between these two? I mean, Raw, they kind of had like a little mini argument, but this felt more like they were kind of busting each other's balls a little bit more ferociously, and I fear for everybody's safety that we're going to get a show Kane match.
Yeah, I can see that, because you've seen all that bickering and everything, and I can see why you say that. I can see why you think that, and will we see that match? And maybe will we see it at WrestleMania? So
no, I mean, they clearly said here in the thing that they're both going to be in the Battle Royal. So I guess that's what they're doing at Mania. I guess they're both going to be entrances into the Battle Royal. Although I thought Big Show's line about how he looked like the spokesman of Men's Warehouse was like one of the all-time best lines I've heard in a while.
But maybe in the Battle Royal we're going to see a little misunderstanding by them, a little conflict, and we may see a feud. One of them may leave the Authority. You never know. Because you think of it this way, how many times in Big Show's career has he turned face and then has he turned back to a heel? It's back and forth with him throughout his career. He's a tweener.
Oh, the same thing with Kane, to be honest. I mean, that's what happens when you're on the roster for almost 15 years. Both of them have almost been really, really close. I know Kane has definitely been over 15 years. Show's really, really close to 15 years. So, I mean, when you're on the roster that long, I mean, and you're gonna bounce back and forth a lot. Technically they've kind of been building towards this since the Rumble, because if you remember, that's how Reigns won, because the two kind of got into a little tiff, got distracted, and he came over, dumped them both out. So, I mean, this has kind of been hinted at, but I feel like they went from hinting at that a little bit at the Rumble, kind of forgetting about it for a couple of weeks, and then kind of reintroducing it heavy on this SmackDown, which kind of was jarring for me.
And as you're bringing up Big Show, he defeated Ryback via a knockout punch.
This match was kind of interesting because, first Kane wrestled Ryback. It wasn't very much to really write home about. Ryback actually won against Kane. So Kane got frustrated, and since he has powers to make matches, he threw Big Show in there. But then, this is the most confusing part. I'm interested to hear your take on this. They've been kind of, throughout the match and throughout the previous segment, they've been hinting that they were going to break it up, that they have issues. But then Kane distracts Ryback to set up the weapons of mass destruction, which allowed the show to win. And then it's kind of seemed like they were back on the same page again.
Kind of like back and forth, pretty much. And
they've been doing that with Goldust and Cody, and they've been doing that with Natty, and it's like, I just wish that they would pick directions for some of these lower card matches so that we know where they're going.
Oh, exactly. And hopefully they just, I know what you mean, just stick to something, because we're just seeing it back and forth all over again. Sometimes it can be very repetitive. So after that match, which Show beat Ryback with a knockout punch, like I said, the Bellas started talking about AJ, saying how the Bellas have been giving the Divas a chance, and AJ's just been sitting at home on her little vacation. Following that, AJ came out with Paige as they defeated Brie Bella, and I thought it was a good match. I liked the promo before it. It was basic, nothing great, but a great basic 5-star, not 5-star, I don't know, 3-4-star promo. After that, we have a match, and like I said, AJ, the returning AJ Lee in her first match since her absence, defeated Brie Bella. I thought it was a good match, quick match. I thought it went well. What did you think about it?
I actually loved this match. I thought it was the best match of the night. I thought that they actually were given more time than on Raw Divas usually get, and I actually kind of took detailed notes on this match, so if you don't mind. Basically at the beginning, AJ and Brie kind of were wrestling, and it seemed like AJ was a little bit sloppy here. Looked like she had a little bit of ring rust. She went for an armbar takeover, and she accidentally let go of the arm and then had to scoot up and retake the arm after throwing her, which if you do it right, you should be able to maintain possession of the arm the entire time. I thought after that, though, the match kind of got into a really decent standard layout of a match. Brie worked the heat. A lot of rest holds, so I mean, if you have a short attention span, you're not gonna like it. But I thought this is the way you have to kind of reintroduce some extra time to the Divas, is kind of give them a bare bones match and see if they can work those correctly before you start adding on some of the more chaotic stuff. And I thought Brie did a really good job of working the heel heat. There was some sweetened "Let's Go AJ" chants here on SmackDown. I thought it was pretty glaring that the crowd wasn't really doing a whole lot at the time of "Let's Go AJ" chant, and I felt like it was really sweetened. But she did a really good babyface comeback here. I thought she kind of finally found her flow right around the time of the comeback, and she got the Black Widow on her. And that's when Nikki was going to try to interfere, but Paige ran over, kind of threw her off the apron, and that forced Brie to have to tap out to the Black Widow. Like I said, I mean, I think this was the best match of the night. I thought it was, it's the kind of the same match if you were starting out from training that you would probably have on the indies. But I think that's kind of what they had to go back to with the Divas and slowly build the division back up to doing some more intricate stuff once they know who can perform the basics the best, and then go from there.
For sure. After that match, following that match, we see a promo from Daniel Bryan wishing everyone luck in the ladder match at WrestleMania. However, which we will discuss later in the show, Daniel Bryan comes out after the main event, and like I said, we will discuss that later.
Yeah, this was weird. He didn't really say a whole lot. I was kind of puzzled why he didn't say a whole lot.
But near the end, that's where the message was sent for sure. Miz and Mizdow. Before I go on to this match, what do you think about this whole little... It's predictable what's going to happen, but I want to see your take on it. What do you
Basically,
think of this
it's the Virgil
storyline.
It's the Virgil storyline for a new generation, except, and I thought it was interesting when he fired him for being a stunt double to putting him more in, like, I hate to say it, but like a slave role. And, like, I mean, they're straight up basically doing the Virgil $1 Million Man storyline here, where basically Miz is embarrassing Mizdow, and they're trying to make the fans want to see Mizdow finally just unload on Miz, and and that's where we all know it's going. But I think that even though everybody knows how it's going to end, I think everybody really, really likes the storyline. I think it's the most coherent storyline going in WWE right now. And it just goes to show you, just because you know what the final image is going to look like doesn't necessarily mean that people aren't going to be interested once you get there.
For sure. And obviously their problems ensued during the match as the New Day got the victory. What do you think about how this whole match went about?
It's the same thing they've kind of been doing. Mizdow does something that kind of irks Miz, which for this match it was basically Mizdow came in, got the hot tag from Miz, which is weird because Miz is a heel, Mizdow's a baby face. New Day, I guess, is ostensibly supposed to be baby faces, so a baby face was running the hot tag spots against another baby face tag team, which was jarring for me as like somebody who's somewhat intimate in the pro wrestling world. And but I mean, I get it because Mizdow is kind of over right now, and basically because he was performing well, he kind of ran roughshod over the other two competitors, and just when he kind of really got things going, Miz tagged himself in, and that's when they kind of got in each other's face, and they built up the tension between the two for this matchup. So they did it slightly different than they've done it the many times they've done it on Raw. But still, I mean, they have to do just a little bit every week on every show to kind of keep people interested. And I think they did a really good job of doing just a little bit more without doing too much,
For sure. And I totally agree with what you're saying. And I'm really, personally, what I think is that this whole Miz and Mizdow feud, I think it's going to be really cool to see what happens with this in the coming weeks, because I find it entertaining, like on Raw.
Well, what do you think they're going to do with Mizdow's name?
If
I mean, I thought it was interesting. She introduced him as Damien Mizdow.
What's going to happen is Mizdow is kind of be like, he's going to eventually attack the Miz because he's had enough, and then they're going to give him a little push for 3 weeks, and then they're going to do whatever. That's my prediction. He's going to get that little bit of notability for 3 weeks, and then he's going to go back where he was.
I hope not. I mean, the guy was given crap and ran with it. I hope that they kind of take care of him, but I have a feeling you're right on that one.
You never know. But that's what I think, and that is my prediction.
The next match was probably the worst match of the night, in my opinion. Swagger versus Rusev. Guess who won?
Rusev won, obviously extremely predictable. However, after the match was the entertaining part, as Curtis Axel cuts a promo, and now apparently this Monday he's fighting Rusev for the United States title. Now, obviously, I'm joking as I say this. Are we going to see a new United States champion? Of course not. We're going to see Rusev win, but it's going to be really funny to see what happens this Monday on Raw when Rusev goes one-on-one with Axelmania himself, Curtis Axel.
Is this like a subtle way of the creative taking a dig at the rumors of Hogan being involved in some way in this match at Mania?
Possibly. You never know. Hogan could come out. It's Axelmania. Hogan signed with the company. So you don't know. And I would think so, personally. Why would they do this whole Axelmania thing? Hogan needs to be involved in this, I think. There's something Hogan...
It could either be, you can see it as they're hinting at it, or you can see it as they're like kind of poking fun at the Dirt Sheet Riders by saying, well, this is as close to Hulkamania you'll see at Mania. I mean, it could be interpreted either way. I guess we'll have to find out.
In our main event, Ziggler, it's more about what happened after the match. That's the most important part. Ziggler and Ambrose won the main event as they faced Luke Harper and Bad News Barrett. After that, a brawl ensues. As that brawl ensues, Daniel Bryan comes out, kind of hinting. I don't know if he's in it, but is he in the title match at WrestleMania now?
Yeah, he took the IC belt and he did the yes chant. I mean, I'm pretty firm in thinking that it's official now. That's him saying that he's going to be in it.
So as Daniel Bryan did that, as he said yes, and he said yes as he has the belt that R-Truth handed to him, Stardust attacked Daniel Bryan from behind, and to close out the show, Stardust stood on the ladder and held up in the air the Intercontinental title. It's kind of weird how the show is ending over the Intercontinental title instead of something else. What do you think about it, like ending in the whole Intercontinental title? That's a first for me that I've seen.
Kind of makes sense. I mean, they started the show with the IC belt. They were talking about the IC belt pretty much most of the show, just like at the beginning of the SmackDown Rundown. I told you that I felt like their mission for this SmackDown was to build this match up in importance and really hammer out some of the details and kind of really try to turn the fans onto this matchup. I don't recall on Raw them saying that it was going to be a ladder match. I could be wrong. I mean, sometimes 3 hours, your attention lags, but they definitely made sure to mention that it was going to be a ladder match for the IC belt at Mania on SmackDown here. And the only thing that was weird is that it was Stardust who attacked him. I kind of expected somebody, but I just didn't expect him. I guess that pretty much makes it official that we're not going to get a Goldust Stardust match at Mania. I guess because the Fastlane match was received so badly, they're just not going to do it.
So, and it's kind of weird because Goldust is over on Stardust, and Stardust is in the Intercontinental Championship match at Mania. What's Goldust doing? Is that what's he just gonna?
I'm assuming he gets thrown into the Battle Royal now.
thrown into the Battle Royal, but if Goldust is over, shouldn't he get the push and not Stardust?
Yeah, but
Goldust
is the one nearing the end of his contract and nearing the end of his run, whereas Stardust is still ostensibly, in the future plans of WWE.
Makes sense. It's just weird to see over someone who was hot off a feud, which Goldust won, with being Stardust automatically into the Intercontinental title thing. That's all
the
good,
only thing I don't like about this whole IC build, besides some of the slapsticky stuff surrounding it, is that we have a Battle Royal. So that's going to be kind of punches and kicks and basically a Royal Rumble, except everybody will start in the ring at the same time. And then you're going to have this match where, at present time, it's R-Truth, Daniel Bryan, Stardust, Luke Harper, Ziggler, Dean Ambrose, Wade Barrett. That's like 7 people.
Yeah, well, obviously more are going to be announced, and
I'm assuming at least one more. I'm assuming that they're going to want it to be an even 8.
Oh yeah, of course. I'm actually shocked. Like are you talking about the title match, or are you talking about the Battle Royal?
The title match. I mean, so far they've done a really good job of announcing the people who people care about are going to be in the Battle Royal. I'm assuming that anybody who isn't slotted in this IC belt feud will be kind of slotted into the Battle Royal. Like they made mention tonight during the Swagger match that Swagger is going to be in the Battle Royal, which is duh. But I mean, I just don't know. Having 2 matches that have a lot of people in them, same card, just feels weird to me. I mean, Battle Royals are always kind of a hard watch unless they orchestrate some spots in it. And basically the ladder match is going to be the exact opposite, where it's going to be nothing but spots on the same card as Triple H and Sting and Rock and Reigns. I feel like they're kind of setting themselves up to have this match steal the show and then have everybody kind of tear the latter 2 matches apart.
Well, let's talk about, you brought up Triple H versus Sting at Mania, and wow, what an announcement. That's pretty much your WrestleMania right there. That match, what do you think's going to ensue? That's such a good announcement. That's something I'm really excited to see. Sting, for the first time competing in WWE at WrestleMania. Technically now, he's done it all. And now he's co-main eventing or co-main eventing or whatever a WrestleMania. That's great to see. I'm really excited about this match. What do you think?
I don't really like Sting. He was at WCW. I was raised as a WWF kid, now WWE. The little bit I've seen of Sting, have never been really all that impressed. He went to TNA forever and ever. Really did nothing for them. Kind of wasted the latter years of his prime and some more after that. And I mean, I have every confidence that even part-time Triple H could probably carry him to a decent match. It's just I'm more of a Triple H mark than I am a Sting mark. So I mean, I'm not really getting a whole lot out of this match. I'm looking more forward to just kind of seeing him in WWE and seeing if somebody like Triple H could bring one last good match out of him and kind of seeing him kind of hang it up from there. But I know chances are that might not happen.
No, I agree with you. I don't think this is going to be the last match of Triple H that we see. It's probably going to be another 5 years from now, I'm guessing.
Oh, no, I meant Sting. I mean, people aren't sure whether or not it's going to be Sting's last match or if they're going to do Undertaker Sting next year. It's kind of still unclear. People still kind of cling to hope that match is going to happen. I really don't want to see that match either. I'm kind of over Taker now. I kind of wish he would just go away.
Correcting what I say, Triple H, we're still going to see him part-time in matches for at least 5 years.
You think so? I mean, I kind of was hoping that maybe, he had learned his lesson after the whole CM Punk fiasco of wrestling while being involved in the back. I kind of feel like if you're going to be in a position of power, maybe he should kind of step away and kind of let the current generation sink or swim.
Well, I'm talking, now that you brought up Sting, and I don't think we're going to see him against Undertaker next year. And as we know, Undertaker is set to return. Well, obviously, according to online and everything. So he's set to return. Bray Wyatt is cutting promos on The Undertaker. That means Undertaker is one last match. Are we going to see one last match, good match out of him? He's barely survived the last match he's had against Lesnar. I don't think we're going to see a Sting and Undertaker match next year. Undertaker is a legend in this sport. He has pretty much sacrificed his body throughout his career for such a long time that I don't think next year it's going to be, I think it's done after this match with Wyatt. So I don't think we're going to see, I think this might possibly be Sting's last match, because what is next for Sting after this match? I don't see anything.
Yeah, I mean, the rumor has always been that he wanted to hang it up at a Texas show. I guess next year is the big Texas Stadium event. So I guess that's why most people feel like Taker's at least going to one more Mania after this year. I hope that's not true. I hope this is going to sound kind of negative, but this is my honest feelings about it. I really hope him and Bray Wyatt go out there and have an absolute horrible match, and Taker finally sees the light and just walks away.
But if you're Undertaker and you have such a great career, I wouldn't want to walk away on a negative note. I would want to walk away on a positive note, knowing that I had a good match and that I've had that positive feedback. Because if I have my last match, which it probably is going to be, and it's negative, then you're going to remember for the rest of your life that last match.
I guess you're right on that one, but I guess I'm hoping that maybe he's just like, gosh, I didn't think it got this bad. Man, I can't believe I let it get to this point, and kind of see the light of day in that way. It's like, man, I should just go off. But yeah, you're right. I mean, wrestlers have a hard time walking away, and I mean, it would just be awful to walk away having like a horrible match and not, thinking to yourself, man, I need to go out and have like a really good match to walk away. So you're probably right. If they did have a bad match, you probably would be compelled to have like one more match.
For sure. So I think we pretty much covered everything for this week on the SmackDown Rundown.
Yeah, most of the Raw recaps were all kind of a downer. It's been a while since I've watched SmackDown. Last time I watched SmackDown was like the end of like the brand split. So I didn't realize how heavy Raw recap is during SmackDown. I mean, I've heard, but it's a little bit different from hearing and seeing. But I mean, it does its purpose. It kind of builds all the matches to WrestleMania. And so for that, I guess it's good. And for anybody who didn't see Raw, I guess it's good. But I mean, predominantly most WWE fans watch Raw and they skip SmackDown. So I'm not quite sure why they do the recaps.
Well, that's a good question, and sometimes people wonder that. But still, of course, a lot of people, all the loyal Angry Marks fans, listen to the SmackDown Rundown, which is great. Before we wrap it up tonight, do you have any plugs?
No, I'm not a plug heavy person. I think, if you guys want to see and support some of the women wrestling, I would go out of your way to just kind of see the SmackDown Divas match from tonight. It's like I said, it's pretty basic layout, but I mean, they were given some decent amount of time, and they didn't do anything super atrociously bad. So I think like maybe if that gets more views than usual on YouTube or something like that, maybe that will kind of indicate to Triple H and the powers that be that giving the Divas a little bit more incremental time is the way to go.
For sure. Before we wrap up SmackDown Rundown, just a few plugs to give you guys. Of course, you guys can follow me on Twitter at Jordan J. Garber. JGW in a few weeks, a new episode, not a quick interview at all, just a short, brief interview I've conducted with former WWE and World Tag Team Champion Renee Dupree will be up on AngryMarks.com Thursday at AMP, every Thursday at 8 p.m. Central on AngryMarks.com. Me and CJ continue to discuss the latest news in wrestling, so keep on checking out the SmackDown Rundown. That will do it for tonight for the SmackDown Rundown. Hope you all enjoyed the show. We will talk to you next